I'm Dr. Pravin Hisaria. I'm a clinical immunologist and immunopathologist with Royal Adelaide and SA Pathology. So currently we have two original research trials undergoing and a third major audit undergoing. So the two major trials, actually the one that we are going to talk about is the one is to find out the least effective dose of the vaccine, which will be effective in treating the Jack jumper and severe allergic patients. So Professor Heddle has already established that this is an effective immunotherapy and can totally be life-changing. But what is required is to find the least effective dose so that we can judiciously use this venom. Because currently it is sourced from Hobart, and by physically actually removing the venom and purifying them into the medicinal grade. So we need to use as little as possible, and that's what we are doing. And we are doing it in two ways. We are also trying to use actually a novel adjuvant to help us with getting away with a lower dose. The second trial, second part of the research that we have pegged along with this major trial is to find a novel blood test which can be used to diagnose and possibly monitor this allergy, and possibly that will be translatable to other forms of allergies like food allergy and drug allergy as well. And the third part is a clinical audit of the very big cohort of bee venom immunotherapy patients that we have, which should give us some real life answers of lots of important research questions in this area.
I'm Bob Heddle. I'm now a visiting specialist only, but I worked on Jack jumper ants since 1999 and took part in the Tasmanian trials, which established the therapy. There had been a trial of whole body extracts of the Jack jumper against, and they hadn't worked. We decided we'd run a trial, much the same as the bee sting and wasp trials, on the Jack jumper ant. The problems, the allergy to Jack jumper ants, and by allergy I mean systemic reactions, immediate in onset, and it's second only to bee sting. In fact, in some areas it exceeds the bee sting problem. It's an Australian native, occurs only in the southeastern Australia, and it doesn't occur on the Adelaide Plains proper, but it occurs in the hills in the southeast and bottom end of the peninsulas, and it accounts for probably the majority of allergies in the hills to insects, it's a relative of the enchant, but it's about half the size of an enchant, and it's predominantly diurnal as against predominantly nocturnal. It's allergy to Jack jumper ants, systemic allergy, and it involves breathing difficulties, circulatory difficulties, gastrointestinal upsets, and in response to the sting by the Jack jumper ant or hopper ant. Well, we found that second only to bee stings in South Australia, easily second. It's outnumbers by considerable the combined total of enchants and the wasps, it's the point about the immunotherapy is at the moment it's proven to works better than the bee sting allergy, but it is constrained by the financial cost of the venom, which is considerable. Yep. It's enormously benefited the people in the Adelaide Hills. They've cancelled moves out of the hills. They're being in the central part of the plains, none exposure.
So the effectiveness of this vaccine actually is going to be tested by doing a live controlled insect sting challenge to see if they have now become tolerant and whether this vaccine has worked or not. The current clinical trial is for the period of 1 year, but we do know from other insect allergic reactions that the duration of immunotherapy can be anywhere from between 3 to 5 years.
I'm Dr. Adriana Lee. I'm a clinical immunologist and allergist at the Royal Adelaide Hospital, and I'm one of the principal investigators on the Jack jumper ant trial. So this study will help establish whether we can get away with a lower dose but equally effective. By using less venom, we will also be saving a precious and limited resource. As already mentioned, this venom it's not a synthetic biologic product just made up in a pharmaceutical factory. It's collected by people going off to the Tasmanian bushland, vacuuming up the ants and individually dissecting each ant sac under a microscope to get the venom out and to make it into a pharmaceutical grade extract. So it's a very precious resource, it's an expensive resource. Patients at the Royal Adelaide Hospital, while the treatment was offered to them for around nearly the last 10 years, until recently patients were paying $2,000 or $3,000 a year to access that treatment. Which is prohibitive for many patients, especially many of our patients are from the hills and are older or pensioners. So this, by getting a lower dose, it will become less expensive. We've really given them access to the treatment, and this treatment is highly effective. It prevents anaphylaxis, it prevents life-threatening reactions, it reduces, it really improves their quality of life, and it means they don't have to carry an EpiPen. An elderly gentleman who had a very severe reaction where he nearly lost consciousness with his hopper ant stings, and he lives on his own, so it would be difficult for him to get immediate medical attention even if he was able to use his EpiPen in time. And so he was very fearful about going outside. He's elderly, he lives alone, he would otherwise be stuck inside. Since having the treatment, he's now been able to go back to his usual activities, visit his friends and family. He lived locally with confidence. As an older gentleman, he's also had to travel all the way down to the Royal Adelaide on the healthcare bus to access treatment, but we've recently established a satellite clinic at Mount Barker where patients can access treatment closer to home, which has been really great for this gentleman because he's quite happy to drive short distances, so he just drives locally to Mount Barker to get his treatment, and now his life's back to normal.